What's going on, guys? It's Alex of Sypnotix, and we have the Sony Xperia 10 Mark II. I'm excited to take a look at this phone because I am a huge Sony fan, although a lot of times you guys don't think I am because I do say certain critical things because I love Sony. I've been using Sony for years now. So last year's Xperia 10, I did like a lot. It's a mid-range phone. I thought it was a little expensive for what it was, but the Mark II should be better, should be improved, and there's additional colors. I'm excited to take a look at this, so let's unbox this baby right now. Alrighty, here is the box for the Sony Xperia 10 Mark II, and it's very standard. It's a standard Sony box, so let's just pop this baby open. There's nothing special to see here. This phone, though, does have a Snapdragon 665 processor and 4 gigabytes of RAM with a 3600 milliamp hour battery. You know, the first thing we see, though, on this phone is how long it is. This 21:9 aspect ratio we saw last year with the Xperia 10, so it's not like a first generation thing. This is a second gen product. It feels nice in the hand right off the bat. Like, this is an upgrade over last year's Xperia 10 for sure. I didn't really love the back on that phone. This is a glass back. And I actually noticed right now that, yeah, look at that. It's like this, the frame of this phone feels like the Pixel 3, except this is a plastic frame. But it feels really nice. I actually like the feel of this. And of course, we have our signature Sony SIM tray, which has a micro SD card slot in there as well. So very easy to remove. That's what Sony has always given us recently in the last few generations. USB-C slot on the very bottom, so great that we have that. And we also have our power button with a built-in fingerprint scanner, which I have a love-hate relationship with. Mostly hate. Most of the time it doesn't work too well for me. But we also have a 3.5mm headphone jack, which is a plus for a lot of people out there, and our triple camera setup on this phone, which is also a bit of an upgrade over last year's Xperia 10. So I'm very excited to test out these cameras in our full review. So yeah, this seems like a pretty nice upgrade over last year's Xperia 10. And the first thing I'm going to say is it just feels like it's a much better phone to hold in the hand. But before we jump into the phone, let's take a look at the rest of the stuff in the packaging. Just no case. I don't think Sony ever gives us a case. We only have paperwork in that box. And we also have a power brick, which is, unfortunately, they don't make this phone for the US market, so we don't have a US power brick. And look at that. Look, they gave us earphones. Those are 3.5mm earphones. So it's not USB-C because there is a 3.5mm headphone jack. So we have traditional headphones here. So a lot of people always ask me, where are these headphones? They have it here in this package. And we have a USB-C to USB-A cable. So this phone, just look at this right now. It feels really nice to hold. I have to say, I am very impressed with this like $400 range phone right now. It feels nice to hold. It feels like it's worth the price point. Fingerprint scanner, let's try it out. This is the bane of my existence with Sony phones. It's not very reliable in previous generations. A lot of people always say, oh, look, it works perfectly for me. But for me, it's never worked that well. But it seems to be working okay here, so I have to test it out for review once again. I'm going to let you know my thoughts. But Sony has always been great with their skin. It's basically a stock Android 10 skin. You swipe up, you have your app drawer. Not a lot of bloatware. Sony has done a great job removing bloatware from their phones through generations. We only have like the music app here. And we have like Facebook and Netflix, which most people use, and Google. That's it. Like, not even all the Google apps. It's actually a very clean, stockish experience. You swipe left, you get your Google Now cards. Very nice. I've always liked and appreciated Sony's skins. They've only gotten better over the years, cleaner stock Android. Even the settings menus, there's not a lot of additional things. You might get a few things here and there from like PlayStation, and it's really nice. And the great thing about Android 10 too is the flexibility you have. So if you want it to be like a stock Pixel experience, you can turn off those navigation keys and actually just swipe up and do swiping motions like you would with the Pixel. I'm going to turn it back on for now. But I really appreciate Sony for doing what they do. with their software, and they only keep in like little things like this. Side sense. This came out with the Xperia 10 with this 21:9 aspect ratio, but really all it does is you double tap on this little line and they pop up like this quick access menu. Like it's a little hard sometimes. You got to practice to do it. And this year it looks like they lowered it. It's not as high, so that's actually perfect. That lower angle for your thumb. You don't have to reach that high. Okay, camera. This is important. A lot of you guys are going to be really into this phone for the camera because, you know, Sony, every year, everyone's excited for the cameras. We have 3 of them, 12 megapixel wide camera, 8 megapixel telephoto camera, and an 8 megapixel ultra wide camera. So 3 camera setup. It does seem like an upgrade over last year's Xperia 10. I can't give you my thoughts right now because I haven't tested it out, but in our full review, I'm going to let you guys know everything that you need to know about these cameras on this phone. And I'm also going to be posting a bunch of pictures periodically before my review comes out on Twitter and also on Instagram at Sypnotix. So be sure to follow us there to follow along. But, you know, last year's Xperia 10 was relatively good. I took that phone, I believe, to Philadelphia on a trip, and I took a lot of photos there. And I thought the camera performed relatively well for this price point. So there's stiff competition this year, though. Pixel 3a is out there. Pixel 4a is coming out. And Google has absolutely taken it to the next level with their mid-end cameras. They basically use a flagship camera sensor on their mid-end phones. So Sony really needs to step up their game to keep in the game. But yeah, that is the Sony Xperia 10 Mark II. But before we leave, let's take a look at this 6-inch display, because this thing is where you're probably going to be looking to buy this OLED phone for. This OLED screen it looks so nice. Look at that. The viewing angles and the color saturation just looks really good right now. And I did really like the viewing experience on the Xperia 10, and that 21:9 aspect ratio is specifically made for you to view movies because that's the native aspect ratio most films are shot at, 21:9 cinematic view. And the reason this phone looks so sharp right now, it really does look sharp to my eyes, and the viewing angles look so nice. The reason for that is the PPI is really condensed. It's 457 PPI for a phone in this $400-something price range. That is great. That is terrific. 457 PPI is a very good number. It's honestly, I've used flagship phones in the last couple of years with less PPI than this phone has. So this viewing experience should be very, very nice. Very, very fun to watch videos on. I'm going to be testing this out, playing games. But really, the big question is going to be the 665 on here, because Lita just unboxed the TCL 10L, and it's almost like $100-something cheaper than this phone. But the build quality is nowhere near this phone. I have to say, even though they have the same processor, 665 processor, and the cameras seem comparable on paper, this back and this body just feels so much more premium. I have to absolutely give it to Sony. It is a huge upgrade over last year's Xperia 10. Last year's Xperia 10, the front of the phone looks pretty nice with the 21:9 aspect ratio screen, but the back of the phone, no, I definitely did not. I wasn't feeling it. It wasn't bad, but it definitely didn't feel like a $400-something phone. This feels like a flagship style phone. The back feels nice. Even the frame, though it's plastic, it feels nice to hold. So big props to Sony on this upgrade. I already feel it right now. So I'm Alex from Sypnotix. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Be sure to come back for our full review of the Sony Xperia 10 Mark II. I'm going to have a lot of thoughts on this, as always, on more Sony phones. And I'll see you guys then.
And that's it. Be sure to subscribe here. Hit the bell button so you don't miss any of our videos. And check out our other videos right here. Until next time.